Have you ever realized how much fear controls your life? Those long nights when silence seems to suffocate and your mind insists on trapping you in thoughts that won't let you be at peace? But what if I told you there's a way to face the world with courage, without shouting, without fighting against everything and everyone? The secret lies in silence. Not the silence around you, but that inner calm, the peace that only the wise know. Today, in this video, you will discover how Stoic wisdom can transform you. Imagine living without fear, without haste, without getting lost in chaos. Imagine being in control, with unwavering serenity. And the best part, you can start this change now. So if you're committed to leaving fear behind and living with true courage, like this video, and leave a comment with the phrase, "I choose change." This will mark your commitment to this new journey. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, now is the perfect time to do so. Enjoy every second of this video, because by the end, you will feel a new energy, a peace you may have never experienced. And remember, this is not just a message, it's an invitation for you to change your life now. 1. There's nothing to lose. Imagine a warrior who has lost everything. Someone who, in the face of battle, feels no fear because they know they have nothing left to lose. This warrior is unbeatable, not because they are the strongest or the fastest, but because they carry no weight of expectation. They do not fear the future because they have understood a deep truth. Everything they have ever had or could have one day is temporary. Life is a constant cycle of gains and losses. Nothing we possess is truly ours. When we are born, we arrive with nothing. When we leave, we take nothing with us. But for some reason, throughout life, we are taught to cling. Clinging to people, to material things, to ideas, to positions and titles, as if that will protect us from uncertainty. But it's precisely the opposite. The more we cling, the more vulnerable we become. And that's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Stoics teach us that the root of all suffering is attachment. They remind us that everything we see, everything we value, will one day pass. When we accept this truth, fear begins to lose its grip on us. Because if nothing is permanent, what do we have to fear? What can we truly lose? The true power of a warrior is not in their weapons, but in their mind. They know that the hardest battle does not happen on the battlefield, but within themselves. When they accept that life is fluid, that everything they have today may not exist tomorrow, they set themselves free. Expectation ceases to be a burden, and with it, fear also disappears. They become invincible, not because they have defeated all enemies, but because they have learned to conquer themselves. And we, in our daily lives, are like that warrior. We face battles all the time, whether emotional, financial, professional, or personal. And often, what prevents us from acting with courage is the fear of losing. But what are we really losing? The control we think we have over life is an illusion. No one controls time, change, or loss. And the quicker we accept this, the freer we become. Accepting that there is nothing to lose is the first step toward true freedom. It's when we detach ourselves from the need to control the uncontrollable that we find peace. When we expect nothing, we are not afraid of disappointment. When we cling to nothing, we do not feel the pain of loss. And this, in a way, makes us invincible. Stoic philosophy invites us to deeply reflect on the transience of life, not as a pessimistic view, but as a key to our own empowerment. When we understand that the world around us is in constant change, that things come and go, we stop fighting against this current. Instead, we learn to navigate with it. This doesn't mean we don't feel sadness or pain, but it means we don't let these emotions control us. Imagine how your life could change if you stopped fearing loss. If, instead of clinging to what is temporary, you accepted that everything is fleeting, the fear of change would cease to exist, and you would begin to see opportunities in every situation instead of just risks. It would be like letting go of a weight you've carried for years and finally feeling free to move forward without fear. So when you face a difficult situation, remember, there's nothing to lose. Everything we have is borrowed from life, and one day it will take it back. And that's okay. This understanding doesn't weaken us. On the contrary, it strengthens us. Because when there are no expectations, there are no defeats. When there's no attachment, there's no pain. The Stoics offer us a path to a lighter, more peaceful life, free from the constant weight of fear. A path where true strength comes from within, from accepting that the cycle of life is natural, inevitable, and necessary. When we stop resisting this truth, we become as invincible as the warrior who has lost everything. 2. Don't rush or pressure yourself. Do not rush or pressure yourself. Hurry and pressure are like silent traps that drive us away from inner peace and mental clarity. Often, in our eagerness to achieve something, we lose sight of the present as if we are constantly racing against time. We become so focused on the future, on goals and deadlines, that we forget to appreciate the moment we are living right now. Yet the present is the only moment we truly have. By ignoring it, we disconnect from who we are and miss the opportunity to be truly alive. True strength does not lie in the speed with which we achieve our goals, but in the calmness and firmness with which we walk the path. Think about it. Acting in haste only increases the risk of making mistakes. You feel pressured, anxious, as if you are racing down a winding road full of dangers without paying attention to the obstacles ahead. The result? You tire out faster, make slip-ups that could have been avoided, and in the end, feel even further away from your destination. Society pushes us to be quick, efficient, as if slowing down is synonymous with failure. But the truth is that those who walk at their own pace, without despair, are the ones who build something more solid, something that lasts. It's not about giving up on your goals or being complacent, but about recognizing that the process of achieving your objectives is as valuable as the final result. If you live in a hurry, allowing yourself to be carried away by the frantic pace of the world, you lose control over your choices, your emotions, and often even over who you want to become. When you trust the natural rhythm of things, you discover a profound wisdom. Each phase of life has its own timing, and by respecting that time, you live in greater harmony. Stoicism teaches us that patience is a virtue, and that true transformation happens gradually, not forcefully. Life is not a race to see who gets there first. It is a constant flow of learning, growth, and evolution. And it is in that flow, when you allow yourself to walk with tranquility, that you will find true satisfaction. Imagine what it would be like if you slowed down. If you respected your pace, appreciating every small victory along the way. When you walk calmly, your mind opens up, your vision becomes clearer, and the answers you seek appear naturally. The clarity you are looking for arises in serenity. It is in this calmness that you find strength. A strength that does not wear out easily because it is rooted in the balance between body and mind. After all, life is much more than meeting deadlines and chasing immediate results. It is about living with intention, being present, and allowing each step to hold its own value. When you stop succumbing to external pressures and start respecting your own pace, you gain control over your decisions, your emotions, and the path you truly want to walk. With that, the peace you have always sought begins to blossom. So do not allow haste to distance you from what truly matters. Do not let pressure rob you of the opportunity to live fully in the present. Walk with firmness, with clarity, and remember, the journey is as important as the destination. It is on the path that you grow, that you learn, that you become stronger. 3. Trust the process and yourself. Trusting yourself is the foundation of any real transformation. Without confidence, fear takes over, and you become a prisoner of your own insecurities. Think about how many times you doubted yourself, allowing that internal voice to sabotage your plans. But what you may not realize is that this confidence does not arise out of nowhere. It is built gradually and strengthens with every small step you take toward your goals. The journey to overcoming fear is not always linear, and the results do not always appear when you expect them. Sometimes you might feel like you are stagnating, like things are not progressing. And it is exactly at this point that many give up. But it is in this moment that you need to trust the process, and above all, trust yourself. Imagine you are climbing a mountain. At first, the journey seems easy. You are full of energy and motivation. But as you ascend, fatigue sets in, difficulties arise, and you start questioning whether it is really worth continuing. Now imagine that at the top, the view is breathtaking, a reward that only those who persist can enjoy. This is exactly how the process of personal growth works. You need to trust that even when things seem difficult, you are getting closer to something grand. The great sages, those who mastered their own fears, understood something very simple. They do not rush. They do not let themselves be carried away by the anxiety of immediate results. They know that what is true, what really matters, always prevails. They have patience and confidence. They understand that the process, no matter how long it takes, is shaping them, making them stronger, more resilient. You also have that strength within you. You may not have discovered your full potential yet, but it is there. Each challenge, each obstacle you face is part of your journey. Trust the process, even when the results are not visible. Every step you take is a step toward your own growth. And remember, it is not just about reaching the final destination, but about who you become along the way. The confidence you build in yourself during this process is what will sustain you, not only in the great battles, but also in the small daily victories. You are stronger than you think. When you trust yourself, fear loses its power over you. When you believe that the process, no matter how challenging, is leading you to something better, nothing can stop you. So take a deep breath, look ahead, and keep moving forward. Every step counts, and you are on the right path. 4. The fear of failure and how to overcome it. The fear of failure is one of the greatest obstacles we face throughout life. It paralyzes us, preventing us from acting, from trying something new. How many times have you held back from pursuing a dream or attempting something out of fear of making a mistake? This fear creates invisible barriers, turning us into prisoners of our own insecurities. But here's the point. Failure is a perception. It is not real in the sense that we usually think. What is in fact failure? A mistake? A detour along the way? For Stoicism, failure is in fact an opportunity. Every time you fail, you learn something new. The mistake is not an enemy. It is the teacher that shows us what we need to improve. And that's what the great Stoic sages understood. They knew that making mistakes is part of the growth process, the path to wisdom. Imagine a staircase. Each step represents a mistake you have made. Each time you err, you climb a step, getting closer to what you want to achieve. Failure is not the end of the line. It is the beginning of a new phase. It pushes you forward if you know how to see beyond fear. But why do we fear failure so much? Perhaps it is societal pressure, the fear of being judged by others, or maybe it is our own expectation of perfection. We live in a society that values only success, the final result, and we forget that it is in the process, in the mistakes and failures, that we find the greatest lessons. Stoicism teaches us to accept failure as part of the journey, not as something to be avoided, but as something necessary for our development. When we stop fearing failure, we free ourselves. It is like lifting a weight off our shoulders. You begin to see that making mistakes is not a defeat, but a step forward. So, the next time you feel afraid to try something out of fear of failing, remember, failure does not define you. It strengthens you. And the sooner you understand this, the faster you will free yourself from the invisible chains that hold you back. Failing is part of succeeding. Do not be afraid to fail. Be afraid of not trying. In the end, it is the courage to face failure that leads us to true growth. 5. Silence is much more than the absence of sound. Silence is much more than the absence of sound. It is a powerful force, a tool that can lead us to a deeper level of self-knowledge. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by information, opinions, and noise from all sides, finding silence is almost an act of resistance. More than that, it is a way to reconnect with our essence. The Stoics teach us that true silence is not merely the lack of external noise. It is the ability to quiet the mind, to silence the inner confusion that often overwhelms us. When we achieve this, something incredible happens. Clarity emerges. What once seemed murky and uncertain suddenly becomes clear. Silence allows us to see things as they truly are, without the interference of fears, anxieties, or the expectations of others. We are not talking about simply being silent, avoiding speaking or listening. True silence is internal. It is finding peace and balance even amidst the greatest storm. Imagine being in the eye of a hurricane, where everything around you is chaotic, yet inside you, there is serenity. This is what Stoic silence represents, the ability to remain calm no matter what happens around you. How many times have you allowed external noise to sway you? The pressure to meet the expectations of others? The distractions that surround us? Inner silence is a shield against these influences. It allows you to focus on what truly matters and gives you the power to act wisely rather than react impulsively. The great sages of history, such as Marcus Aurelius, understood that silence is not merely an escape, but a point of strength. When you silence yourself, you can hear your own inner voice. And that voice, when connected with clarity and reason, can guide your decisions much more consciously and effectively. It is in this silence that you find true freedom. The freedom not to be swept away by negative emotions, not to get lost in the chaos of the world. You become the master of yourself, and that is a power that few possess. In a world where everyone talks too much, those who know how to be quiet and listen to their own heart are the ones who truly have control over their lives. If you want to live with more clarity, more purpose, more balance, start with silence. Learn to silence not only your mouth, but your mind. Silence is the path to better self-knowledge, to making wiser decisions, and above all, to living a fuller life. Now, I challenge you to put this wisdom into practice. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or lost amid chaos, pause for a moment and silence. Not just the noise around you, but the noise within you. It is in this space of quiet that you will find the answers you seek. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. 6. It's not necessary to force this change. Often we think that change means waging an internal battle, fighting against our own instincts, and forcing something that doesn't naturally fit. But that is the wrong view. True change does not need to be a war. It does not require resistance, much less forced effort. Stoicism teaches us that genuine transformation comes from within, naturally and peacefully. Imagine for a moment the fluidity of a river. It does not force its way between the stones. It simply adapts to the course, finding its space and moving forward. This is the essence of living in harmony with nature, accepting things as they are, and allowing life to reveal itself at its own pace. When you understand this, you realize that you don't have to force change. It happens at the right moment when you allow yourself to flow rather than struggle against everything around you. The Stoic does not try to dominate the world. They understand that there are greater forces at play, forces that are beyond their control. And it is in this acceptance that they find peace. It is not about becoming passive, but about having enough wisdom to perceive when to act and when to observe. Forcing a change, whether in yourself or in others, creates resistance, generates tension, and pulls you away from true transformation. Changing does not mean adopting new habits overnight or transforming your mindset in a day. It means, first and foremost, observing, understanding, and adapting. The Stoic seeks harmony with nature, with what life presents, instead of going against the current. And the great truth is, when you stop forcing, change flows naturally. Life does not need to be a battle. You do not have to fight against yourself all the time. Transformation comes from small daily adjustments, from accepting what cannot be changed and working on what is within your reach. And thus, without realizing it, you begin to change. Your behavior, your way of seeing the world, your emotions, adapting to reality, to what life brings, is what leads you to genuine and lasting change. So stop criticizing yourself for not having changed all at once. Don't force life. Let it reveal itself. The most powerful transformation is the one that arises naturally, without pain, without rush. When you align yourself with the flow of nature, change happens smoothly, without resistance. It is in this calmness, in this acceptance of what is, that you find true freedom to change. 7. Access the silence within you. Inside each of us, there exists a space that we rarely access, a point of total calm where worries hold no power and fears cannot enter. It's like an invisible refuge, yet extremely powerful. This place of tranquility is always there, but often we ignore its existence, distracted by the chaos of the external world. However, the great sages and Stoic warriors have learned to access this inner silence, and it is precisely here that your greatest strength resides. When you connect with this silence, something transformative happens. The voices that tell you that you're not good enough, the fears that paralyze you, all of it begins to dissipate. It's as if the noise of the world can no longer reach you. In this space of calm, you find the clarity to make wise decisions without being swept away by emotions or the problems of the moment. Imagine the following scene: a violent storm forming, winds howling, the sky darkening, everything around you crumbling. For most people, this is a terrifying sight. But the true Stoic warrior remains unshaken. He stays at peace because he knows that the chaos outside holds no power over the silence within him. This silence is unshakable. It is a source of strength that no problem can destroy. And don't think that this is something reserved only for a select few. We all have this capacity. The problem is that we are so used to living immersed in the noise of the world that we forget to look within. But the truth is that the calm you seek out there, in social media, in daily distractions, in the recognition of others, lies within you, waiting to be accessed. No matter what happens around you, the inner silence remains intact. The beauty of this is that once you discover this space of peace, it becomes your greatest ally. It protects you from emotional wear and tear, from anxiety, from irrational fear. When you learn to trust your inner silence, what happens around you becomes just a detail. Crises lose their power over you because you begin to see everything from a higher perspective. So how can you access this silence? The answer is simpler than it seems. You need to stop. Yes, just stop. Stop reacting automatically to external stimuli. Stop feeding the fear and doubt. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and dive within yourself. Even if it's just for a few seconds, this pause reconnects you with your essence. Inner silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of a calm mind, a heart that does not let itself be shaken by external storms. Remember, silence is the greatest ally of the Stoic warrior, and the more you practice accessing it, the stronger you become. True strength does not come from what you face outside, but from the unshakable peace you cultivate within. When you learn to live with this inner calm, you will realize that no challenge is great enough to bring you down. 8. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you've refrained from acting while waiting for the right moment? How many opportunities have passed before your eyes as you awaited the ideal scenario, the perfect alignment, or that feeling of now is the time? The truth is that this perfect moment will never come, and this wait is a trap that keeps us stuck in inertia, in the comfort zone where it's easier to postpone than to face. The Stoics teach us something very powerful. The present is all we have. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. So, why continue wasting now, waiting for an ideal situation that, most of the time, never appears? Action must happen in the present. It is at this very moment that you can take the first step to confront what paralyzes you. Imagine how many opportunities you have missed so far simply because you were waiting. How many times have you found yourself paralyzed by the belief that it's not the moment yet? But if you keep thinking this way, you will never move forward. Life is unpredictable, and if you wait for everything to be perfect, you will spend your whole life waiting. The Stoics teach us that time does not stop. The world will not mold itself to give us what we want when we think it's most convenient. Instead, it's up to us to adapt to the circumstances and take advantage of them as they happen. The true learning lies in acting now, with courage and determination, even if the scenario is not ideal. In fact, it's in adverse conditions that you learn and evolve the most. When you cling to the idea that you need a perfect moment, you are in fact letting fear take the reins. Fear of failing, fear of the unknown, fear of not being good enough. But the only way to overcome these fears is by taking action. By making a move now, you prove to yourself that you are capable of facing any challenge, even when the ground seems uncertain. Think about it. Life is happening now. Opportunities are passing right before your eyes at this very moment. Will you continue waiting for the scenario to magically adjust to your expectations, or will you finally take the reins and act? Don't wait any longer. There is no better moment than now to start. Facing the world requires courage. And this courage doesn't arise in the perfect moment. It emerges when you decide to act, despite the imperfections along the way. What are you waiting for? Start now, because time does not rewind. 9. Live without regrets. Living without regrets is one of life's greatest challenges, but it's also one of the greatest freedoms we can achieve. How many times have you found yourself reliving past mistakes, torturing yourself over decisions you can no longer change? Regret can be a heavy burden, an anchor that prevents us from moving forward, keeping us tied to something that should have been left behind. But the truth is that living with remorse is pointless. It's wasting the present on something that is already beyond our control. The Stoics had a clear perspective on this. What's done is done. There's nothing you can do to change the past, and wasting energy dwelling on mistakes only distances you from what truly matters, the now. And it is precisely here in the present that you have the power to act, transform, and learn. When you accept your mistakes, something powerful happens. First, you stop fighting against reality. What has happened has happened. Second, you gain wisdom. Every mistake brings a lesson, and if you are willing to learn from it, regret stops being a weight and becomes a stepping stone. With each accepted error, you grow, strengthen, and move forward with more clarity. Think carefully. Living with regret does not change the past, but it certainly destroys your future. Punishing yourself for mistakes only perpetuates the pain, keeping you trapped in a cycle of guilt. But what would happen if, starting today, you decided to abandon that burden? What if, instead of drowning in regret, you viewed your mistakes as opportunities for growth, as necessary steps on your path to evolution? The Stoics teach us that the only thing we can truly control is how we react to situations. The past cannot be controlled, but the present can. Therefore, what really matters is what you do now. By living without regrets, you choose to take responsibility for your actions, but without letting them define you. You learn, adapt, and move forward lightly, without carrying unnecessary weights. Imagine the freedom of waking up every day without the burden of remorse. The freedom to know that, no matter how many mistakes you've made, they are part of your growth process, not prisons holding you back in the past. When you internalize this idea, life becomes lighter, simpler. And that's what the Stoics propose. A life where the present is all that matters, and where the past serves merely as a source of learning. In the end, regret is a choice. You can choose to carry the weight of your mistakes forever, or you can choose to learn from them. Accept that the past does not define your future, and live more lightly, focusing on what lies ahead. What will your choice be? This is the moment to free yourself from regrets and live with greater clarity, accepting that the past is gone and that the future depends only on your actions in the present. 10. Fully embrace the present. Living fully in the present is one of the greatest challenges of our time. We are always so caught up in what has already happened or anxious about what is to come that we forget the only moment that truly matters, now. Stoic wisdom teaches us that the present is the only time we have control over. The past is gone, cannot be changed, and the future, well, it is uncertain. When you understand this truth, something magical happens. Pause for a moment and reflect. How many times have you found yourself trapped in past regrets, or worried about what might go wrong in the future? This drains your energy, paralyzes your dreams, and prevents you from truly living. But what would happen if you freed yourself from these chains? What if you simply decided to focus all your attention on the now? This is the secret to a fulfilling life. Stoic philosophy teaches us to inhabit the present, to face each moment as a unique opportunity. When you do this, fear begins to lose its grip. Fear of what? Fear of a future that hasn't even happened? Fear of a past that cannot be altered? It makes no sense to live like this. The present is the only place where you can truly act, where you can truly be. And the more you commit to living now, the more you realize that fear is just an illusion. Living in the present also means appreciating the little things, the touch of the wind on your face, the sound of rain falling, a heartfelt conversation with a friend. These are the moments that make up life. Yet, we are often so distracted by what if, or I should have, that we let these beauties slip away. Imagine how different your life would be if, instead of worrying about the future, you focused all your attention on what you're doing right now. Conversations would be deeper, your experiences would be more intense, and you'd begin to realize that the present is more than enough. When you inhabit the present, you truly live. You become more aware, more connected to what really matters. Fear begins to fade because it has no place in the now. You start to feel free, stronger, more capable of facing any challenge. And this change doesn't have to be difficult. It starts with small steps, paying more attention to your breath, observing the details around you, and always bringing your mind back to the present moment. Over time, this becomes a habit. And before you know it, you'll be living a fuller life, unburdened by what has passed or what is yet to come. After all, the present is the only moment in which you can truly act. I want to sincerely congratulate you for making it this far and completing the video. This shows that you are truly committed to improving yourself, and that's amazing. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us on this journey of self-discovery and evolution. Stoicism is filled with powerful teachings like the ones we explored today, applicable to our everyday lives. Don't forget to leave a like. It's very important to help this content reach more people. And to know that you watched until the end, comment down below with the keyword Stoicism. I'm looking forward to seeing your participation in the comments. Until the next video.